All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. In this video here, what I want to show is talking about the Bulls' early days when they just had no shot of winning, okay? And I'm going to explain why. And this really goes to the heart of why people are insane when they say things like, oh, why didn't Jordan beat the Celtics, in 86 and 87? Oh, he could have at least avoided getting swept and that kind of thing. Well, the guy did score 63 points in a playoff game, more than anybody ever in the history of the NBA. And took a team that was 49-1 at home to double overtime. That was the best effort, the second best effort all year in the Boston Garden, because the best effort was Portland. They won earlier in the year, but they got the closest to actually winning a game in Boston. And this is a team that won 30 games in regular season. I know Jordan wasn't there the whole year and all that, but still, they were completely outclassed and outmatched. All right, so in 1985, Jordan's rookie year, his first playoff series ever against Milwaukee. They were a 59-win team. So they had players like Craig Hodges, Terry Cummings, Paul Pressey, and Sidney Moncrief. So Sidney Moncrief, Craig Hodges, and Paul Pressey was really like a three-guard offense, okay? And Moncrief had a really good series. But the problem was, so when you have a Hall of Fame guard and you have another first-team all-defensive guard in Paul Pressey, that's tough to deal with. But Terry Cummings was the real problem. Terry Cummings in that series goes for 29.5 points per game, 9.3 rebounds on 63.4% shooting. There was nobody that could stop Terry Cummings. And that really goes right to the heart of why the Bulls they had no shot of winning that series. 1986, MVP Larry Bird. He goes for 28, the three-game series in 86. And Jordan was phenomenal. 49-point effort in game one. A 63-point effort in game two. He had a bad game in game three. But Larry Bird for the series goes for 28.3 points per game. He had 8 rebounds, 8 assists on 52.8% shooting, 40% from three. What are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? And to make matters worse, Kevin McHale also had 28.3 points per game, 10 rebounds on 64.6% shooting. So every time Kevin McHale took a shot, about two out of three of his shots went in. I mean, you're not going to beat a team like that. They didn't have anybody down low to stop the front court of these teams. And this goes right to the heart of it. Why people are stupid by saying, oh, why didn't Jordan? Because Jordan was 6'6" and he wasn't guarding 6'9" and 6'10" and 7-footers. All right, he couldn't guard every position. You guys are just stupid with this. 1987, Larry Bird goes for 26 points a game, 10 rebounds, 9 assists on 53.3% shooting. He only took 3 3-pointers, but he made 2 of them, 2 for 3 on 3-pointers. Kevin McHale goes for 20.5 points per game, 8 rebounds, 51.4% from the field. Seems like Oakley did a little better job in 87 than he did in 86. But then Robert Parrish, he goes for 16.7 points, 10.3 rebounds on 56.8% from the floor. So, guys like Dave Corzine, they just couldn't handle, the best front court of all time. You guys are just idiots. Okay, so in 1988, the first round of the playoffs, the Bulls were a 50-win team. Well, their best player down low is Brad Daugherty, Cleveland. He goes for 15.8 points, 9.2 rebounds, but only on 46% shooting. So we did get some help there, down low, to at least contain Brad Daugherty. Well, guess what? They won the series. The next series against Detroit. Now, Detroit was more of a committee. There was no, like, set 2 or 3 players down low. I mean, they were just rotating. John Sally, James Edwards, Rick Mahorn, Adrian Dantley, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman. They're just rotating these guys. So there's no real one guy. But, just as an example, Adrian Dantley, he's the small forward. He goes for 18.6 points, 5 rebounds on 50% shooting. Okay? And that's from your number 3, your small forward. So right there, the Bulls don't have anybody in 1988 that's going to be able to match that. They couldn't stop him on defense, and they can't match it on offense. And then, again, at the center position, who they have, like, Sellers or something. I think that was Brad Sellers at that time. Bill Laimbeer in the same series goes for 15.8, 12.8 rebounds. They just couldn't stop him on the boards. 47.9% shooting. I mean, not like outstanding, but good enough. They just couldn't stop it. They lost. 1989, first round of the playoffs. Cleveland was the number 1 net rated team that year. They were good. They had home court advantage. They were 10 wins better than the Bulls. Brad Daugherty goes for 11 points a game, 9.2 rebounds on 36.2% shooting. So that was Bill Cartwright. He did a pretty good job on Daugherty, contained him. But Larry Nance, Horace Grant couldn't handle him. Larry Nance goes for 19.4 points, 7.8 rebounds on 55% shooting. He got the best of Horace Grant, but they contained Daugherty enough to where they got it to where it was one shot won the series at the end. The Bulls were going to lose this series, but, Jordan did the double clutch, the shot. We don't need to get into it, but that's what happened. It was a very, very close series. Came all the way down to game 5, Bulls down by 1. Jordan hits the shot to win it, but they could have easily lost it. He rims it out, whatever. Easily could have lost that series, no doubt. The next series, they're playing New York. Patrick Ewing goes for 21.3 points, 10 rebounds on 50% shooting. So, that's good, but it's not crazy. And then Johnny Newman, the other 4, basically, because they were playing like Mark Jackson, Gerald Wilkins, and Trent Tucker, I believe, was kind of like a 3-guard system. Gerald Wilkins was like 6'6". But anyway, Johnny Newman, he went for 15.5 points on 45.8% shooting. Again, they're having okay, decent series, not bad, but not crazy. So they contained them enough. That's all you need to win. But in the conference finals against Detroit, here we go again. This time, instead of Adrian Dantley, it's Mark Aguirre. Now, again, it's all these guys rotating in. But the high man was Mark Aguirre. Gets you 13.7 points, 4.8 rebounds on 53.3% shooting. That's the most important part. And then Dennis Rodman, he's only getting you 7 points a game, but he's getting 13.3 rebounds, and even he is shooting 52% from the field. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Jordan and Paxson, they're going to match Dumars and Isaiah, even though, those guys are averaging, close to 35, 40 points a series. Well, so is Jordan and Paxson. They're going to match that. But it's the up front guys that could never handle it. That was always the problem. And anyways, the Bulls got beat. 1990, first round against Milwaukee. Now, this was, an inferior team, no doubt. But Jack Sikma, Hall of Fame center, he goes for 5 points a game, 3.5 rebounds on 28.6% shooting. They did a good job. Brad Lohaus, the power forward, 9.5 points, 6.8 rebounds on 40% shooting. There you go. They won the series, I think 3-1. No big deal. The next round against Philly, and this is what I always say. Charles Barkley, especially in 91, was basically how Jordan was between 85 and about 88, those 4 years. He must have felt alone, that he had to carry such a load. That's what it was like for Barkley around that time. The early 90s Philadelphia 76ers, after Dr. J and Moses and Maurice Cheeks, all those guys left. It was just him. So much was counting on Barkley. But anyway, in the 1990 series, Horace Grant couldn't handle him. Barkley goes for 23.8 points, 17 rebounds on 53.2% field goal shooting. But Barkley was shooting 60% in the regular season, so they were keeping his field goal percentage down enough. But he's getting 17 rebounds, just destroying Horace Grant. And then Mike Gminski, their center, he's going for 16.4 points on 60% shooting. The Bulls were lucky they didn't get beat, but Michael Jordan was averaging 43 points a game on 55% shooting. That's why they didn't have to worry. But they were getting beat down low, even as late as 1990. In the Eastern Conference Finals, same thing. Mark Aguirre, 12 points on 54.8% shooting. Dennis Rodman getting in 9.1, 9.7 rebounds on 59.5% shooting. Again, they're just having their way down there. And again, it's a committee, this team. It's not one or two guys. But they got beat in 7. The migraine game, maybe the Bulls had a chance to win if Pippen's 100%. We're never going to know. In 91, first round, Patrick Ewing. He goes for 16.7, well below his average. 10 rebounds on 40% from the field. They contained him. Kiki Vandeweghe, their other scorer, he gets 17 a game, but only on 40.6% shooting. They held them down. They swept them. That's what I'm talking about right there. When they can do that, the Bulls were going to win. They were going to win games. They even could have did it back in the, in the mid to late 80s if they would have had the team to do it. The players, you know what I mean? If they would have had the players down low, not freaking Dave Corzine and Brad Sellers and those guys. I mean, Oakley was okay. Orlando Woolridge was okay. Oakley seemed to get, he was more of a rebounder back then, but he seemed to get a little bigger and stronger later, and he was on the Knicks. But he wasn't bad. He was serviceable for sure. So was Orlando Woolridge for those 2 years they played together. But they just didn't have anybody until they got Pippen, Grant, Cartwright. There's your front court. That's what they needed. Anyway, then in 91, the conference semifinals against Philly again. Again, it's pretty much all Barkley at this point. Barkley is giving you 25.6 points. They do control him on the boards more, though. He only gets 10.2 rebounds, 64% shooting. They just can't stop him. But, Jordan, he's outscoring Barkley. And then, Armin Gilliam, he's giving you 16.2, which isn't bad. 6.2 rebounds, but only 42.9% shooting. And then the small forward, Ron Anderson, 7.6 points on 32% shooting. Barkley just didn't have the help. And, the Bulls held them down. Their power forward and their small forward. That's why they easily won 4-1. 91, this time against Pistons. Mark Aguirre is no longer giving you those 53% shooting games. He averaged 16.8 points, but only on 45.3% shooting. That's what I'm talking about. Dennis Rodman, 4.5 points, only 7.5 rebounds on 44.4% shooting. And he was the only player on Detroit in that series to get over 5.5 rebounds. Finally, the Bulls start controlling the boards, at least getting 50-50. And that's what they needed. They swept Detroit. In the finals, Vlade Divac, who was maybe the best Laker in the 91 finals. I think he might have been. He goes for 18.2 points, 8.8 rebounds on 56.5% shooting. That's scary. But James Worthy, 19.3 points on 47.9%. That's pretty good. Okay? However, AC Green is only giving you 5.8 points, 5.6 rebounds on 31.3% shooting. That they just couldn't get that other score, really. Sam Perkins did give you 16.6 points, but on 40.6% shooting. So they didn't get annihilated down low. Although the Lakers were better up front, in my opinion. They had Vlade Divac, James Worthy, Sam Perkins. They're starting front court pretty damn good. And then they had guys like A.C. Green. They had Eldon Campbell, Terry Teagle, Michael Thompson. They had depth down low. They did. They were not soft. Byron Scott was giving them nothing, though, and that was part of the issue there. But anyway, the Bulls didn't, Worthy was hobbled. He wasn't 100%. I know that. But Jordan was hobbled, too. He had a toe problem. So anyway, I won't go through all the rest of them. 92, 93, the Bulls, won, whatever. But 1995, here we go again. Same example. Alonzo Mourning, the best player on Charlotte in the first round, he goes for 22 points, 13.3 rebounds on 42.1. Pretty good. Larry Johnson, 20.8, 5.8 rebounds, 47.7% shooting. So they were good, and maybe even good enough to beat the Bulls, but they contained them enough. Like Mourning was only shooting 42%, and Larry Johnson, they kept him off the boards. He got less than 6 rebounds a game. That's a formula for them to win. And they did, 3-1. Now, playing Orlando, whole different animal. Whole different animal. So, against Orlando, the wing players, Penny Hardaway shot 44.2%, Nick Anderson 44.3%, and Dennis Scott 38.8%. So these holding these guys to around 42%. That's good. That could win you. But the problem is Horace Grant is getting you, and he never did this on the Bulls, 18 points a game, 11 rebounds on 64.7% from the field in a 6-game series. Horace Grant was firmly in his prime now. The Bulls had nobody to keep him off the boards. I think the only power forward on the whole roster was like Dickie Simpkins. So they usually played Kukoc at the 4, and he was no match for Horace Grant down low at all. And then you had Shaq, who was giving you 24.3, 13.2 rebounds on 48.4%. Not the greatest shooting number. He was a lot more agile, a lot more baby hooks when he was on Orlando. But still, they couldn't stop it. Those two are getting 24 rebounds a game. That's just silly. So the Bulls just couldn't stop them. Jordan averaged, even though he was rusty, 32 points a game on 47.7% shooting. Now, he didn't have a very good game 1. Nick Anderson, 45, 8, 23. Well, outside of game 1, he shot 49.6% for the rest of the series, games 2 through 6. I think that's pretty damn good. How did Scottie Pippen do? He shot 40.9% from the field in that series. In game 1, he goes 2 for 11, so that was also part of the problem, why they lost that game. But, you can blame it on Jordan. He got his ball stolen from him, and then he made that bad pass. I don't think Jordan of 2 years ago or Jordan of 1996, that happens. But no excuses. That's what happened. Jordan, probably cost his team the game. But I'm just saying, it didn't help that Pippen went 2 for 11. And also in game 5, Pippen went 4 for 13, and I think Jordan had a pretty good game. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. When you break it down and you look at the series that the Bulls had problems controlling the front court and were getting clearly and soundly outplayed, they got beat. And then when they could hold the team to somewhat of either, just decent numbers or even bad numbers, the Bulls won. So it's just that simple. That's what it was. Michael Jordan and the Bulls needed competent help. And they finally got it, with players like Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, even like Scott Williams played a role. Luke Longley played a role. These guys did enough to win these games, and win convincingly at times. And, of course, Dennis Rodman, can't forget about him. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do. That'd help me out. And until next time, thanks for watching.